We, of course, have a date with Alabama off in the distance, September 4th. Before that, fall camp and a lot to work on. And the commitments are coming in and more to follow on Friday. Miami Hurricanes live right here at the Voice of College Football, courtesy this guy, Cam Underwood, State of the U. Cam, how we doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. Glad to be back. Last week, had a previously planned outing with some of the homies. So went down to Miami, went down to Cayocho, went to Versailles, had a little lunch at a little Cuban spot. Had to bust out the couple words of Spanglish that I can speak to order because, it's very, very, so I mean, it's in Little Havana. So like the street signs are in Spanish and like the advertisements are in Espanol, So did that, had a cigar, had a couple Cuba Libres, went over to the Marlins game, had a good Thursday night, but that was previously planned. So sorry, that's why I wasn't here, guys. But I think you inverted the H and the T in the hyperlink for the site, but of Hati. But hey, it is what it is. But you guys know, stateoftheu.com, SB Nation, Cam Underwood. That's me. I'm back. Let's party.
I did that once before, and I only did that once before. You know what happened here is I've got like 3 or 4 different files. So hopefully when I correct this one, it's the same one that was incorrect the other time. Anyway, I'm not going to go into a big explanation, but I corrected it the other time, but it didn't save. Anyway, we got Cam Underwood from State of the U, who certainly is deserving of having the website spelled correctly on the banner. So we will take care of that as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, let's get the nastiness off the board right out of the gate. Vontae Williams, certainly you were excited when he was signed. Canes Nation was excited. Innocent until proven guilty. I think by this time everybody is at least somewhat knowledgeable of what the charges are concerning Vontae Williams. So give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously, like you said, is a very talented athlete. Was very excited to have him on the roster. Obviously, you saw what he did in the spring game and thought he could even challenge for a starting spot early on in this year, but allegedly had a domestic battery situation with a ex-girlfriend that he was living with, had asked her to move out, and then came back and she was there and things went south, and was alleged that he struck her and threw her down and things of that nature, which are not obviously things that you want. And I tweeted it at the time that the arrest became public and things like that. I said, if this is proven true, then he needs to go. And people came to me and I said, it's a conditional statement. It's actually a Boolean statement from computer science, if then. And I also said, if it was not proven or proven to be not true, then stay and be great. Mark Walton had a situation in college, not the other stuff in the professional ranks. I know that he has issues with things, but when he was in college, there was a situation. He was held out for a while. It was proven false that his situation was not what it seemed like. Came back, played his last year, got drafted, all those same kind of things. Larry Hodges, tight end this summer, had gotten arrested for something. There was an investigation pending with that. That again came back in his favor, as in not being, the situation did not progress. So he's back on the roster. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But with Vontae Williams, unfortunately, it seems otherwise. And so I believe it was the right and prudent move to dismiss him from the football program. And I know there were lots of people, even friends of mine, who were coming at me saying, hey, you're not here for second chances or and look, you can get a second chance, but actions have consequences. And that second chance does not need to be at the University of Miami per se. You know what I mean? So we can disagree on that. And that's, foundational belief, and that's okay. I empower you to have a different, contrary thought if you are of that mind. But again, based upon the standing of the situation currently, I believe it was the right and prudent move to dismiss Vontae Williams. I wish him the best in his personal life. I know that he has 2 children from high school and obviously a third one on the way with this young lady who was said to be 8 months pregnant in the charging documents and things like that. And I hope that he is there to provide for them and can move in a positive direction. But I believe it is best for all parties that positive direction happens somewhere other than Miami. And again, I have no ill will towards any person, and I wish him the best. And I hope that the situation he's able to put his life together and move forward in a positive way. But for the University of Miami football program, athletic department, and university as a whole, I believe that was the right move. And again, if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you disagree with that, I'm fine with disagreeing.
I cannot add or take away from any of that in any such way. That truly reflects my feelings. I believe in our justice system. I believe when it's executed properly, I believe in our justice system, innocent until proven guilty. I also believe that sometimes we see fan bases, and when I hear that certain fan bases are crazier than others, I always dismiss that. I think there are all sorts of different people in every fan base that go from reasonable to ridiculous and obnoxious in every fan base has been my experience. So there are those people that, I'm able to do what I'm currently doing. Cam is able to do this in regards to running a major athletic website because of the passion of people, and that passion needs to end with humanity. In regards to the allegiance that you have and the loyalty to athletes is great, as long as they're not doing anything legally and way beyond legally, morally wrong. And once that line is crossed, then life is so much more important than athletics. It's not even debatable. So, a young lady and a child involved, they need to be protected, and justice needs to be served. Whatever that justice is, I just hope it's justice. All right. Our man Cam's here, answering questions, taking your comments throughout the hour. So we thank you so much for being here. And right out of the gate, Falconer X, thank you for the contribution. Right out of the gate, first comment in the door, super sticker from Falconer X. Thank you for that. All right, so much going on regarding recruits and commits. Justin Medlock, Isaiah Horton, and oh boy, I didn't write it down correctly. Mr. Carswell. He's got a very unusual first name.
Falenta, but he goes by Flip.
Okay.
Is his nickname. So Garen Justice, the offensive line coach, posted a GIF of a gymnast doing lots of backflips, and people were like, "Oh, who's flipping?" Da-da-da. I'm like, no, that's his nickname. So Flip Carswell from Georgia, a basketball player turned football player coming up for this year. So he's not played football yet, but 6'7", 275, interior paint player, a center, a post in basketball, making his way to the football field just because he's big. And he has a lot of potential. There's a lot of teams that were looking to get him on campus, Michigan and Oregon being at the forefront of that list after he came down to Miami, got an offer, things like that. But those trips were canceled, and he committed to Miami to come on down and be a developmental offensive tackle prospect. So do not expect him to step in day one like Chantrell Henderson. You know what I mean? He's not going to be that, but he has the potential to grow and develop into being very good, and he has very good footwork. That's transferable from basketball to football. Good balance, things like that. Your slide drills, your defensive drills, all kinds of those things. Very athletic guy. Posted a video of him swatting something out of the air, out of the sky, on the basketball court in his welcome to the U piece that I wrote. And I also put in there, and I know people are always like, "Bro, we know that you used to work at Miramar," but the comparison was too perfect. And I put it in the welcome to the U piece. The progressional path of Yodny Kajust is what you want, that or better, for Flip Carswell. Yodny Kajust went to North Miami, transferred to Miramar. He was 6'5"-ish, post player. Coach went to him as a sophomore when he came over to Miramar, said, "Look, you didn't play football." "Nah, I'm a basketball player." Junior year, "You didn't play football." "I'm a basketball player." Junior year spring, he started and went over to football. They played him at defensive tackle, defensive end. He settled at offensive line. So he played offensive line. Goes through, commits to West Virginia because the coach at the time, Damon Cogdell, went to West Virginia. And Miramar was sending a lot of kids to West Virginia if they're not going other places. So Kajust goes there. Red shirts, plays, gets injured, and then ends his fifth year as the Big 12 lineman of the year, second team All-American, first team All-Conference, and gets drafted in the third round and still in the NFL. And again, this is a guy, and I think, well, no, he wasn't in my class, but I was always around announcing everything. I knew all those kids and all those players from there. And I saw it myself. This is a 6'5", 255-pound guy who transitions to football, plays offensive tackle, again, ends his career as the award-winning best offensive lineman in the Big 12, gets drafted in the 3rd round. I think it was 101 overall or something like that. That's the progressional path or better that you want from Carswell. And are there other basketball players turned football players? Yes. But again, having seen that, and especially at the back end of the career, award-winning, second-team All-American, first-team All-Conference, all those things, it is very possible, and you don't have to look far in the rearview mirror for a undersized post turned football player playing offensive line with the developmental path that you want as the median if you cannot exceed that with Carswell. And that was Yadnik Just, again, from Miramar High School and then West Virginia and then wherever he got drafted, Patriots, excuse me, in the league. So you want that from Carswell, and he has that kind of frame, and he could, again, either follow that developmental path or be better. The second commitment since we've last spoken was Justin Medlock, a linebacker from Manville, Texas. If you're thinking that name sounds familiar, it should. That is the same high school at which De'Aaron King once starred years ago. Obviously, we did not get De'Aaron King straight out of high school, but that's why you've heard it, you've seen it. It's been, on your brain for a while. He's a guy who was like Texas Defensive Player of the Year as a sophomore, only played 3 games and got injured as a junior, but had already had 24 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and some other peripheral stats in the 3 games that he played. So he's 6'1", 210, is literal, he runs track and does pretty well for himself out there in Texas, where we get lots of fast guys. So Medlock brings skill and speed to the linebacker position, which are 2 things that we need. Good up on John Patke, who's from Texas, going back to Texas and getting a linebacker. Also, this follows up getting another Houston linebacker in Corey Flagg a couple years ago. So it's not all of what we need at linebacker, but that's a step in the right direction. The third recent commit since the last time we spoke was just the other day. Isaiah Horton from Murfreesboro, Oakland High School in Tennessee. 36 catches, 693 yards, and 7 touchdowns for an undefeated state championship team last year. Was, is, and will be the focus of their passing game. You can just turn on this highlight. The first 2 catches of his highlights are an underthrown post where I reach back with my right hand, and then a fade thrown to the back corner that I have one-handed with my left hand. So you get about 47 seconds into his highlight film, and you see one-handed catches with either hand. So it don't matter which hand comes to play today, I got you. And there's more to it than that. He's 6'3", 195 pounds, so he has the size that has been lacking at the wide receiver position, absent a couple of guys. Brian Hightower, Lawrence Cager, and then the FSU killers themselves, Daryl Langham and D. Wiggins, are the only receivers that we've had that are taller than 6'2" over recent years. And you get another guy, Isaiah Horton, brings that dynamic to the wide receiver room, because even again, a guy like a Michael Redding, who is shredded, he's 6'1", 200-something pounds. He's not 6'3", you know what I mean? So this is a different size receiver. You pair him with Landon Abeda, who's, in that 6 feet tall kind of range. So you have extra height there. Hopefully you get, I would honestly almost be good with them two. I mean, you probably want to go after Jaden Gibson, who's leaning towards Florida, but you would like to have those 3. But again, if this year is the year of the defensive lineman or defensive end, edge rusher in South Florida, next year's class is all about the wide receivers. All about the wide receivers. There's more you can shake stick at. And I mean, there always are in South Florida, but next year, the elite of the elite, there's so many of them. So again, you want to get numbers and quality every year, but you're 2/3 of the way there because Abeda is way underrated. I don't care what anybody says. Open your eyes and watch the film. You can open your eyes again and watch the film with Horton, and it is clear, it jumps off the screen. And then hopefully you add another player of that kind of caliber. So you have those 3 guys who committed since the last time we talked a couple weeks ago. And then somebody already mentioned him, Traequan Fagans from Alabama. Thompson, is coming down for an unofficial visit this weekend to Coral Gables. He's tweeted out that he's going to commit tomorrow. He didn't say where. He said, I'm going to commit tomorrow. It's going to be on his Instagram at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. But I find it hard to believe that he would be taking an unofficial visit to South Florida with his family and commit to Alabama or somewhere else, or South Carolina, which are the two teams at the top of his recruitment other than Miami. I find that hard to believe. That would be a move. That would be an Al Blades on the field at Doak throwing up the U move to commit. That would take some cojones, my friend. To travel all this way and spend all this money and then flip a curveball like that. But it seems as though he's going to come here, and then that would be Chris Graves, Kamari Rogers, and the guy Fagans in the same recruiting class at cornerback. That is such an incredible class. That's the kind of class we need to have. And to Mr. HD's point on the screen, and to think we had to sit here and take 5 years of mediocre cornerback recruiting from Rumpf. Look, you move Rump off the field, you put DeMarcus Van Dyke on the field, you get the other guy. Jesus, what's his name?
Kamari Rogers?
T-Rob, sorry. Tavares Robinson, the coach.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, everything flips up. And I know that I've heard from other people in and around the industry of recruiting and college sports, Rick was holding Rumpf back, and he's a dog on the trail. And he, if he wasn't being, handicapped, I don't think that much has changed. So whatever handicaps were there are there, and we're about to have the best three-man class that we've had with the highest rated cornerbacks that we've had since Tracy Howard in 2012. But all of them since then, in this one class. It's like that 200-meter relay race last night that China won in the Olympics, when all three of the medalist teams broke the previous world record. You know what I mean? All three cornerbacks in this class will break the record for highest rated corners since Tracy Howard in the same class at the same time. So it will be going hopefully in a positive direction. Obviously, letting the kid have his moment, but 2 + 2 where I come from equals 4. And it seems that we have that kind of equation that should be unfolding at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.
All right. A lot for me to address here in what you just stated. I've got several thoughts here. Number one would be, and the most recent would be that looking at Mark Richt's recruiting record, both at Georgia and Miami, I don't really see where he held much of anything back. He had like consistently top 10 recruiting classes at Georgia.
Well, no, I mean, that was from a couple of people who said that whatever recruiting tactics or things that Rumpf wanted to do, he was told not to do within the bounds of the rules. But
I understand the line of thought concerning Mark Richt's morality and his ethics and so forth. But he obviously for 20 years basically delivered at both schools in terms of recruiting. All right. Traequan Fagan, yes, man, for him to leave the state of Alabama, 11th rated cornerback in the country. He's a top 80 player in the composite.
He's real good.
Yeah. Okay.
And for those wondering, he's rated higher than Earl Little Jr. from American Heritage. So Fegans is the 11th ranked quarter in this class, and Little is the 12th. And Little's 5'11", and Fegans is 6'2". So there's height concerns as well and things like that. But even if you want to say, okay, 11 versus 12, they're comparable. This is what I'm talking about with picking your battles and replacing the like with the like. Because if you want to call Earl Little Jr. a miss, because he's going to go to Alabama right now. But if you want to say Miami whipped on somebody in the backyard area, again, we talked about it 2-3 weeks ago. I forget which one, but what's going on with recruiting at American Heritage? That's the question more than any name from American Heritage. It's that connection and things like that. That persists, and we're seeing that again. You need to replace that player with a like player. You're not going to drop down a tier of caliber of athlete of potential. If you're not taking or not getting Little, and you're getting a guy who's top 80 in the country, ranked 1 at his position, higher, that's the kind of replacement that I'm talking about. That's what you want to see. So, hey, would I like Earl Little Jr. legacy from American Heritage to come on down? Yes. Does it look like he's not? Also, yes, it looks like he's not. Excuse me. So we made moves and got somebody else of similar caliber and potential, and for our roster, taller, to come on down. That's how you do it.
A couple other things came to mind when you were talking about Horton on his highlight reel, making the one-handed catch right-handed and then showing that he didn't necessarily have a dominant hand. He could do it on the other side. Brought to mind a conversation I just had last night with my daughter, who is much more well-versed in just kind of reading everything and so forth. But she was just talking about how I noticed she was eating with her left hand, and she's right-handed, and she mentioned that therapists, they suggest that you get used to brushing your teeth, eating, doing everyday tasks with your opposite hand. If something happens, then people are rendered helpless, typically later in life, or if they have a major injury, and they are in a bad position that way.
I never considered that.
And then with Kajust, I'm glad that you went there in regards to correlating Carswell's situation with possibly Kajust, that's a possibility. You're not projecting that he's going to be a third-round pick in the NFL draft, but you're just stating the lack of football experience, being a basketball player, coming over to football. Because what first hit me, and I know that these scouts and coaches know what they're doing, so I'm not challenging the thought process, but as soon as I hear he's a basketball player, he's coming over to football, and I see 6'7", 275, when you think basketball player playing football, you think agility, foot quickness, those sorts of things. And I think offensive tackle, that's a difficult position to play. Like number one, we talk all the time how the offensive line has to be in sync with each other, and you have to understand the game at a higher level than a lot of other positions. Number two, just the coordination of the backpedaling and everything. And just I automatically think, kid hasn't played football. He's got explosiveness. He's 6'7", 275. Put him on the edge. Let him be like an edge rusher.
But I mean, his body build apparently, is going to be more on the offensive line.
It's going to change.
Right. Nick Benito, who goes to Oklahoma, he was a guy who was a fringe, low-level basketball prospect who wanted to play basketball. I was debating going to do that somewhere, and I was just like, bro, don't do that. With all due respect, you don't have the skill. And I mean basketball skills. You don't have the skill. Go and, pin your ears back just like you do with the football team at Aquinas. Go and do that, get upfield, make a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, one of the great strengths of being an elite athlete or a very good athlete is that you have a certain level of confidence. But I think when athletes play multiple sports, they don't always recognize that and think, hey, I can do that. They typically overrate themselves, and it's a confidence thing, and it usually serves them well, but it can be a hindrance at times in regards to. I still remember a comment made to me by Mississippi State basketball coach Richard Williams. He led that team to the Final Four in 1996. They lost to Syracuse in the semifinals, but the next year, this is after he had 2 first-round picks, Dante Jones and Eric Dampier, go into the league, and he said, I got a locker room. We're standing on the basketball court. The team's still in the locker room. He goes, I got a locker room full of kids that think they can play in the NBA. He said, none of them can play in the NBA. 2 of them will play in Europe, but that's what they think, and I can't get it out of their heads.
Yeah.
The other thing here, Cam, that comes to mind is, I love going to the recruiting rankings because I think there's a lot there. And obviously, that's kind of where it starts. If you want to understand the player and where they're evaluated, you start there, then you go from there. It's not the end-all, be-all. And then I try to equate, okay, this is the program we're talking about. In this case, Miami. Is this a player of their ilk, of their status? And I try to do the correlation of, I think we've done this long enough that you understand. I kind of think in ratios and metrics and proportions and those sorts of things. So I look at the recruiting rankings, and of course, there's so much more that goes into it beyond that. I see that Carswell is the 64th rated offensive tackle. Well, he's so inexperienced that I'm sure that has a lot to do with that. Medlock's the 48th rated player at his position at linebacker. And then we've got Horton, the 39th rated player, wide receiver in the nation. And those are not low ranks. I'm just kind of, venting my, communicating my thought process when I try to rank or match up the program and what I believe the status of the program is with the rankings of the commits. All right, I think I've got it all out of me here, and we will move on to more comments and questions. Bring it our way, and then again, yeah, that pickup from Fagan's would be a huge one, and appears to be so. Oh, I was going to ask you, Al Blades. So he pulled that stunt at Doak Campbell Stadium, but I'm guessing he didn't travel that kind of distance that Fagan's would have to travel to.
Well, I mean, he came from it's a little shorter, but it's almost comparable. It's a little shorter, but not much, honestly. You know, you're coming from Miami or Fort Lauderdale to Tallahassee. You're coming from, I don't know where in Alabama he's from. You know, but you know, you're going a little bit further, but yeah, so it did that. And Shaq Quarterman did the same thing at whatever the University of Florida is, their field. But he did his from outside the field playing area. Like Al Blades went to the 50 and did it. So I think it was during camp or something, but yeah, still. Yeah, good times. Good times.
Valdez Mosley, thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution here. Greed kills. # support the Big 12. Before we get back to Miami-specific content and conversation, how did that news hit you with Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC?
You know, I'm a traditionalist at heart, so even moving to the Big 12 was like a move for me, and then going, you know, to add those teams then, and then having them make a super conference now. It's interesting. So I think that we're on the precipice of the next big round of realignment. And with 16 teams, I hope, against hope, that they at least do the thing that they should be doing in more conferences, but in that conference specifically, and going to pods for scheduling. 4-team pod, you play the other teams in your pod, and then 2 teams from each other pod, 9 games in the season. Everybody hosts everybody within 4 years. Like every team, you know, because there's still new teams in the big SEC who have not been everywhere. So, you know, your Missouris of the world, not Missouri. Yeah, Missouri. And A&M have not been to every stadium yet. And you're how many years in? Just go to pods. And that's the thing that, you know, I didn't think about, but I remember reading Bill Connolly on it years ago. I remember reading other guys. And I mean, if you're going to go do this, at least do that. And then we'll obviously see what the rest of the fallout is going to be for realignment across these United States of America.
You can either go to pods or you can go with my scheduling system, which will solve that as well. I'm not going to go into it now. It's just too lengthy, but you maintain the divisions. But I'm also trying to achieve a 500 composite opponents record for every team in the conference. I think conference scheduling there's too much inequity to it. So I'm trying to achieve a fair schedule for everyone as well.
Pods gives equity, I believe. Or if you helps. Create the pods,
yes,
it helps. But if you create the pods intentionally, it can get there. And while the pursuit of 500, you know, record of the opponents is the desired, I don't necessarily know that that is a requirement for me. But then again, you and I are different people, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would build a schedule that would partially be based on the previous year's results. So anyway, I will only say this about like the NFL. So, but for anybody who's going to jump in here and say we don't want the NFL, college football to be like the NFL, it's not. So I'm not going to go into my thing. So I've had like 5 or 6 live streams since that news broke through. So if you want to hear my opinion on the whole thing, the only thing I'm going to say about this is, like Cam alluded to, there could be a few minor adjustments made by the other conferences, and then things could kind of settle, or things could explode and we could see just massive, you know, we're hearing crazy stuff. We're hearing Ohio State and Michigan to the SEC. We're hearing the Big Ten going out and plucking USC and UCLA to try to counter them. We're hearing all sorts of crazy stuff. And in previous times of expansion and realignment, I would have thought that's crazy. And the expansion and realignment more followed a path of logic and regionalization, but I'm not counting out anything the way things are being talked about. So the only thing I will say that's just one of my points that are out there all over the place regarding this is I just don't like it tearing at the fabric of college football, and especially from a guy who whose heart is with the Canes but grew up as a Michigan fan. You can understand this as well as anyone. There's a certain vibe, a certain feel, a certain flavor and character to SEC football versus Big Ten football versus ACC football, Pac-12 football. People disregard the Pac-12. I grew up that the Pac-12 was arguably the best conference in America in the 80s and 90s. And that goes beyond the field. What goes on the field just kind of reflects the culture of the music people like in that region and the food they eat and their values. And it was the beauty of college football that you could bring all that together, and you could watch an SEC game and you could watch a Georgia LSU game. And it was different than watching Penn State and Michigan versus watching Oklahoma and Texas. And I just loved that diversity, and that's being deteriorated.
Yeah, it is. And, again, with the world becoming a smaller place with cable television and the internet and everything, it's not as different. It's like a interleague play in baseball. Like you saw when I was growing up. I mean, if the Tigers weren't playing in Detroit, you saw the Atlanta Braves because you got TBS. That was the big thing that changed that. Otherwise, you might get WGN, so you might see one of those teams. But otherwise, coming to the stadium, you're only seeing American League guys except for All-Star Game and the World Series. That was special and different. But then, things are coming together and, there's more money to be made on television and whatnot. So, yeah, things are changing and they're going to change, and that's fine. But I would like to see some of the past spirit of college football be maintained while we're moving forward. But, we'll see.
Sean is asking right here, what are your thoughts on last year's players such as Redding and Peyton as big receivers jumping Wiggins a lot, nobody keeping Romello off the field long?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. We're throwing numbers at the wide receiver problem to try to fix the problem. I've said it before, I've said it again. That Mark Pope and D. Wiggins had the highest drop rates of any receivers with any kind of game usage in America last year. We know that. So, yeah, you got, Peyton, who got injured last year. Maybe he's a guy. Redding, Romello Brinson in this recruiting class right here, Jacoby George. Obviously, you bring in Charleston Rambo, and he's going to start. But, I mean, we have so many guys on scholarship at wide receiver. Something got to shake. And either it's 6 and 7 actually developing and catching the ball, or it's one of these other guys when they continue to drop the ball and they slide down the depth chart and the rotation in practice. Hopefully these other guys can step up during games. But yeah, I'm confident that your top three will be Keyshawn Smith, my guy, who's still jumping out of the sky into the moon or whatever he was doing in that vertical leap. It was crazy. Him, Mike Harley, Charleston Rambo, Will Mallory at tight end. That's your top 4 pass receivers. Set it and forget it. And hopefully you get another 4 behind them that can rotate in. And then maybe 4 or 5 or 6 so that you have a little bit of diversity of skill sets. So if somebody gets dinged or whatever, the other guy can come in. But that's what I want to see. And to me at this point, and I know that obviously you're somebody from on 79th Street. Wait, no, not 79th. It's 93rd. Excuse me, Miami Northwestern. Wait, no, 79th is Northwestern because Miami Central is north of Northwestern. It's crazy. I forget that. But 79th Street and everything. Hey, that's cool. I know that you're rooting for Romello Brinson. I don't care the name of the person. I just need the job to get done. And hopefully with the numbers that we have at wide receiver, that's able to happen.
Keem Underwood, State of the U. Please check out his work and the rest of the staff there at State of the U. Breaking down Miami football. Of course, fall camp is just days away, so get set, get ready, get prepped for Miami football. Please join us here at the Voice of College Football, whether it's Miami or anybody else. We are breaking it down each and every day. And with this expansion talk, my goodness, we hit that from about every angle I could think of, and we're not done. So Nick Cull is the 34th rated cornerback in the country, according to the composite. The crystal ball predictions say that was a combination of predictions and projections that came out of my mouth. Have him going to Miami out of Seminole County, Georgia.
Yeah, that's a guy who could play safety, striker, nickel, outside corner, being recruited by SEC teams. I would definitely take Nick Cull on my team. Go watch those highlights. I would definitely take him on my team. It's coming to the point now, if we get Fagans and we have 3 at cornerback in this class, are you going to take another corner? Are you recruiting at safety? Are you going to go somewhere else? You're getting to the point where, like, yeah, you really have to start balancing and choosing. For me, if you're able to get both of the Henderson twins, Jakari and Damari, one plays safety, one plays corner, but the corner can probably grow into safety and the safety can grow into a bigger safety or striker, I might probably take the Henderson twins over Cull, even though I know Cull is the better player now. Those twins are bigger and more athletic, and they might end up being better players down the line. But Nick Cull is a guy who's on the radar. Nick Cull is a guy who it's coming to the point where we have to kind of decide which way we're going to go with the recruiting class. But and I think some of those projections were a little earlier because it did look like he was going to commit to Miami a while back. But we'll see how that plays out from now.
We know the answer to this question.
Do we?
Sure we do. You're a guy that likes swag and trash talk.
Yeah, but a lion does not concern themselves with the opinions of sheep either.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, so I would only. So the question from D. Revley is: ask him, do we remain humble or talk trash to FSU once we pass him in the rankings for recruiting?
Sorry,
No. I was almost at the end of it, but like this whole time, I've said that we're not going to end up where we are, and they're not going to end up where they are. They're building an Al Golden special class. We got a couple guys at the top and a whole bunch of maybe probably shouldn't even be offered or going to sign with that school. Miami had a lot of those, and go look at their list. The top of that class is nice for Florida State. The top like 3, maybe 4, real nice. The rest of them dudes, JAG, just a guy, or just JSG, just some guys. Okay, they're a whole bunch of 3 stars, and see people talking about, oh yeah, he's going to recruit like Memphis. Yeah, and honestly, I think he recruited better when he was at Memphis, to be perfectly honest. So Florida State's not going to end where they are in the recruiting rankings, and Miami's not going to end where we were in the 80s or something, And Miami has like the 5th or 6th highest per player recruiting average ranking in America this cycle. Like, the guys that we're getting are guys of quality. And yes, it's taking a little bit longer for us to fill this class, but again, you're only looking at 19 to 20, maybe 21. You're saving some room for some transfers and probably counting somebody forward from last year anyway, if you're operating off of, that. So no, I don't need to concern. And that's what I'm saying. Like, let them talk, let them shout. We've seen this movie. Miami had the number 1 rated class every year that Al Golden worked here. Go look it up. But it was for the next year's class, right? So, like, we finished or whatever, and then the next year's class was ranked number 1, and we got all these guys, and then that was decommitment U, and then things slipped up, and you get your, top 20, top 15, and then they sign, and the next year's class is number 1, and this is that. Okay, it's current year, but like they're way inflated, and it's going to come down. When other teams start signing guys and everything, and the 3 stars, the preponderance of 3 stars on their recruiting list is taken into account. So, I know that my boy Kev, shout out to 561 Kev, was talking about the fact that Manny Diaz's fake momentum statement really got under their skin. at Florida State, and they're hurt by that. Boy, hit dogs hollering all up and down the timeline. You got credentialed journalists and media members from Florida State, hashtagging fake momentum and things like that because Manny Diaz got under their skin by saying that, and they know that that's what it is. And again, a hit dog gonna holler, and they hollering and barking over there. But we beat them by 6 touchdowns last year. We're going to beat them by 5 or 6 touchdowns this year, and we're going to keep it pushing. And we're going to end with a higher-rated recruiting class. They're going to see some decommitments and some other guys that just, get cycled out, but they're not going to replace them with All-Americans. That's just how it works. So at the end of the day, you're going to see what it is, and then we're going to talk about it then. And otherwise, they can keep chirping because games got to get played, and you're going to get this ass whooping when we come up there.
I'm going to attempt to think like the typical fan, and I don't say that in some kind of high and mighty way. It's been proven throughout the years. I don't think like the typical fan, but I'm putting myself in that place either as a Florida State or a Miami fan. So Miami's won this game 4 consecutive years, and 5 looks almost certain. Okay, so I'll play out a scenario in which, let's say, Florida State hangs on to some semblance of this class and they finish 15th in the rankings, the recruiting rankings. Miami finishes 17th in the recruiting rankings, and Miami wins another game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. That's 5 consecutive games. Is that really enough for a Florida State fan to bow their chest and beat their chest about a recruiting class that's 2 or 3 spots higher than Miami? I know right now it's like number 8 in the country, and Miami's, I don't even know where it is, but it doesn't really matter. Like I don't know.
58th, but we're going to move up when we get Fegans tomorrow. So
I understand to a certain extent, although this wouldn't be me. If you bring in the 3rd best class in the country and your arch rival brings in the 35th best class in the country, even if they beat your brains out again, you can say, okay, well, this is going to end. Look at what we just did. I still wouldn't be that guy because I'd be like, we lost 5 consecutive games. So until these guys actually get on campus and make a mark, and you got to put those recruiting classes obviously on top of each other. All right. But it's fun to observe. That's all I do, and try to moderate it. All right, D-Rock Irish. So this question, from my limited perspective on this, concerning we're approaching college football preseason training time, meaning fall camp. Gentlemen, do you think there will be an uptick in the transfer portal for the college football landscape and for Miami? Well, my quick thought is that this is a different timing situation than what we saw during spring practice, where a player could see where they stood after spring sessions were over, have those conversations with their coach, their positional coach, head coach, see where they stood, and then make a decision because of the July 1st deadline, I believe, for the transfer portal in regards to being eligible for the next season. So I wouldn't anticipate that to be the same here.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the same, but we did just see the dancing bear himself, Jalar Holly. I'm going to just keep talking. Never mind. Anyway, Jalar Holly commit or win.
What did I miss?
Nothing. Never mind. Anyway,
I think I know now.
He's famous for his dancing on the sideline, played defensive tackle. But he is in the transfer portal, so he's going to go elsewhere. Had 7 tackles last year, so he is one of those players who's decided, even after a spring or after summer or spring and the full summer and everything, that just last week he decided to make that move to go elsewhere. And hey, he would probably have to sit out. But yeah, that would be the thing. So I don't necessarily think there's going to be an uptick, but the transfer portal is always open. You know what I mean? It's your local bodega or, 24-hour McDonald's. It's always open. 7-Eleven, you know what I mean? Always open, always on. So I'm not going to say that there will be nobody who goes into the portal after this July 1st, because again, Jalar Holly just did last week. However, I don't think there's going to be an uptick of that until maybe during the season would be the time, not this right here.
Kim, if you could see my perspective on what I can see, you would understand that you can get away with a lot of things because half the time I blow up the screen quite a bit so I can read because I'm too lazy to put my contacts in. So I blow up the screen so I can read the comments so I can go through them. So I don't see us like
Never mind.
2/3 of the time.
You're good. Never mind. Keep it moving. Next question.
All right. I cannot find a question, so I'm going to go to this. I am going to go to Phil Steele's position rankings for the ACC, and you tell me how accurate you think each one of these rankings is. We'll start with quarterback. I'm sure there's a heavy weight placed on the starting quarterback, of course, but I think it's a positional ranking with, not to be surprised, North Carolina 1, Miami 2, and Boston College 3, Clemson 4.
Clemson over Boston College. I know Djokovic has more game experience than Uiagalelei, but yeah, no, I think that he's very good, and I think that that Uiagalelei by himself is enough to elevate them into third, personally.
Okay. I'm reading through what I think is relevant, but I was looking for your Miami perspective on that, but obviously you can comment on whatever you want.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think that the Miami, my bad, I missed the assignment. But yeah, at number 2, you're really going to have a coin flip between the room that they have up there in North Carolina and the one we have in Coral Gables. Howell and King are the best 2 quarterbacks in this conference. I know they got Drake May, who was everybody's All-American, up there behind him. At North Carolina, I don't know who their 3rd or 4th strings are. Forgive my lack of knowledge on that. But I do know that we have Jake Garcia and Tyler Van Dyke here as backups behind King. Peyton Matoka also, but again, he's more of a program player than an actual competitor towards being a starting quarterback. But yeah, I think that you can make the argument that with De'Aaron King and the talent behind to put Miami first. The argument can be made. I would not make that. I think that second fits for me.
Dwayne Baker, thank you so much for being here. You've shown up in fine fashion here in recent weeks. Appreciate that. And if I recall your story, you had made the comment that you've been watching for quite some time, but are now able to make the live show. So thank you so much for that. Great content as usual. Smash the like button. I have yet to say that tonight. Smash the like button. Please share these videos out on social media or just flat out do it the old-fashioned way and just tell people, hey, we talk Miami football here every Thursday night with Cam Underwood. Bam, you got to get here, listen to the live version. You can always, of course, we appreciate those that can't make it but watch the replay as well. Cam, what's the over-under that we get 2 commits over the weekend? Go Canes.
I would say under would be the negative or the minus 500 favorite. And again, just to insight movement or action on the line, I would put it at 1.5 personally, because I don't want to push. State your claim, call your shot. So if we're going 1.5, I'm going under. Because I think that we're solid with 1. I don't necessarily think that we're going to get 2. And also, are you talking about this class or are you talking about overall? Because if you open it up to future classes, no, I'm still going under because Manny Diaz and them, they when he got here, he was changing what it means to be committed. Remember, he's done these different things. So you're not taking all these early commitments and things like that. So, yeah, that's really saying that we're going to get 2 current cycle commits this weekend, either to push or exceed if, I drop the number to 1.5. Unless something crazy happens and somebody unexpectedly pops, I don't see it. So I'm going to go under with the pretty solid 1 with Fegans.
All right, folks, it's promo time. We'll let Cam catch his breath. TriStateWoodsketch.com. Cam, check this out. Did I show you this last time? I don't think it had arrived. I think this was just last weekend. So a viewer sketched that. Very nice on a piece of wood. I had no idea it was taking place. It's not like I requested it or they said, hey, I'm going to do this for you. boom, they just said, all of a sudden they started sending me thumbnails of all sorts of, that's just like 1 of 10. I got a box full of different things. So the sales pitch, folks, is, I want to make this very clear. This is not what you would be purchasing. So don't fear here. You get to send your own photo, your beach scene, your loved one, your dog, your cat, whatever you'd like. You send it to tristatewoodsketch.com. And again, I've got about 10 samples of this, so I know that they do excellent work. And thank you so much, Joey, for doing that for me. And also, you buy one, you get one free if you drop my name there, Mark, Voice of College Football, whatever, and you pick your surface and you do the whole thing right there. All right, so back to, there was a comment in here. I won't be able to find it soon. Basically, one of these fantasy type questions. If you could bring back a Miami great from the past to play on the current team, who would it be? I think that was Terrence Templeton.
I love those questions every year because the answer changes, and especially for Miami, there's so many places that you could go. On this year's team, I got to go linebacker, and then pick your poison. Dan Morgan, the most decorated college linebacker ever, the best in college Miami Hurricane linebacker. Not overall, because you're going to take Ray Lewis because of the pro. You're going to take Jesse Armstead. You're going to take Michael Barrow. You did it. But in college, the best and most decorated was Dan Morgan. I would probably go that way. However, I've already given you 4 other names. DJ Williams was a first-round draft pick. You know, you could even go to the 2000 team. Chris Campbell was a great linebacker. Vilma, another guy who was a high draft pick and played in the league. For me, I'm going Dan Morgan, just because, again, I think that he's very underrated. And that's crazy for the most decorated and best college linebacker of the group. But, yeah, that's where I would go. And, yeah, for this year's team, I'm 100% looking at linebacker. That is the position with the most room for growth and most needed growth on this year's roster. Oh, good question. Chris Gons. Thoughts on Bear Alexander and Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy. Those are 2 elite defensive tackles. I like them. I love them. I want them on my roster. They're big and strong and shockingly fast for a man that size. We've gotten Alexander down already for a visit. Brownlow-Dindy was talking about taking a visit previously and did not. Where is he from?
I should know. I've gone over this I don't know how many times with various people.
I looked at, Brownlow-Dindy is from Lakeland. That's why I wrote him off. He's not coming here. Never mind. We don't get guys from Polk County. Guys from Polk, he's a guy who has he's not coming here. Write him off. I don't care. It's not going to happen. So the only one of these 2 that is possible is Alexander, because we're not getting guys from Polk County. We don't get guys from Polk County. It does not happen. It's just like the same thing as saying Palm Beach Gardens Dwyer, where Jack Daniels used to coach. Yes, that's his actual name. But you don't get guys from Dwyer, and you don't get guys from goddamn Polk County. Pretty much any high school. Lakeland, Kathleen, whoever, George Jenkins High, whoever's out there, you don't get them to come to Miami. That's just not our area. That is pretty well walled off, that they go elsewhere. They go to Florida. They go to Florida State. They go other places. So Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, take him off the list. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to eat my hat or feces or anything crazy like that, like these people on the internet, but I would be shocked and floored and absolutely 100% admit I was wrong if something else changed. But I got a brain in my head that works, and we don't get guys from Lakeland and Polk County. So nope. The only one of those would be Bear Alexander, and he's a 5-star from Texas, and that means that everybody and their mama, including all the schools in the state of Texas, like Texas and like A&M, want him as well. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would absolutely take either or both of them on my roster tomorrow.
It's always good to see new viewers in here. My meat on your shoulder. That's an interesting. Whoa, hey. It's I love watching.
Wow. Thanks, bro.
It's quite the visual. All right. Brother Jay Glaze does it the more conventional way, but a lot of emojis there. We appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Emoji game strong. You love to see it.
All right. If you got 2 or 3, we'll run through the rest of these unit rankings. I don't see any other questions there. So we knocked out quarterback, running back.
Yeah, we're not going to stay too long, though, because we got the NBA draft tonight, and my Detroit Pistons get superstar Kate Cunningham at number 1 overall. Woo! Let's go. Woo!
All right.
Let's go.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So unless Phil Steele, there's a typo here. He's got Clemson and North Carolina State tied at number 1 at running back with Miami 3.
That's
whoa. He's got Clemson and North Carolina State at 1, Miami and Georgia Tech tied for 3. So he's got 1-1, 3-3.
No, that's Jahmyr Gibbs by himself that is elevating Georgia Tech. I would have to look at the other ones, but Miami has one of the best running back rooms in America. So having them third is in the conference is kind of crazy to me. Yeah, so I would say on first thought, Miami needs to be higher on that list. And tied with Georgia Tech is fully on the strength of Jahmyr Gibbs, who is amazing. And I don't know why other teams didn't recruit him and everything more than they did, but that's my initial thought.
Clemson's got the 2 stud freshmen, but they haven't done anything. Will Shipley and Will Maffa. All right, receivers. Clemson 1, Miami 2. He's got a lot of ties here. Then BC 3, and he's got 3 teams tied for 4th, but 4 teams tied for 4th.
Does that include tight ends?
It must, yes.
Okay, all right. I was going to say, because Miami at 2 is shocking, honestly, in terms of receiver. But yeah, if you have Charleston Rambo, Mike Harley, who are proven at the top, then you have Will Mallory, Larry Hodges, who had 2 touchdowns in a single game, even though he didn't do too much because he was behind those other guys, and then a bunch of freshmen, and then even if they haven't lived up to their billing at wide receiver, you do have other blue chip guys. I'm still hesitant to put Miami that high. I'm sorry, and maybe that's the fact that I'm so closely connected. Jalen Suggs' suit is incredible. My God, wow. But yeah, I have just seen a couple guys on this roster drop the ball way too much for me to be comfortable with putting Miami at 2. But since you're including tight ends in that, on talent alone, on talent, not demonstrated performance, on talent, I will begrudgingly agree.
Do you read the Phil Steele publication? Have you looked through one or?
I haven't gotten it. I didn't know that they were nationwide. I'm going to go get one because I'm close to a couple CVS's and Walgreens when I go to the secret day job.
It is unlike, I don't think it's available there. It's unlike anything you've seen in regards to information. He writes in code.
Yeah.
And it's just like ridiculously just packed. Like it takes you like 20 minutes to read like a paragraph basically, because it's just, it's
all shorthand because you got to fit in.
Yes.
It has to be shorthand to fit it in there. Yeah.
Which I like.
Read it for years. I just don't have this year.
Okay. I got you. Because I respect Athlon's, Lindy's, and so forth, but I don't like the here's the offensive couple paragraphs, and then at the end it says the offensive line brings back 3 guys and they name the best player. I like that doesn't tell me anything. Like it's just ridiculous. So anyway, offensive line, again, he's got to have some kind of metric system because he's got way too many ties. He's probably got some kind of point system. So at offensive line, he's got North Carolina 1, BC 2, and then he's got Clemson, Miami, Wake Forest, all at 3.
So that means basically Miami's top 5 in the conference, which is basically top half. I think that the performance could elevate at the end of the year for Miami being higher than that. but with so many returning starts, so much experience on this line, the most returning starts of any offensive line in America. Yeah, you're taking starts from other teams when you get guys transfer in, like a Justice Oluwaseun. You got guys who missed last year, like an Von Donaldson coming back, who has 30-something games of starting experience, pushing 40, all those kind of things. Yeah, but I'm fine with where they are now, and I'm hopeful that the performance will end up having them be higher in the rankings at the end of the season.
Folks, I'll let you know we had Phil Steele on a couple of weeks ago, and he says he's going to come back in August. All right, so defensive line.
Well, no, go ahead.
Again, there's got to be an issue here. Clemson, he's got at 1. Then he's got 5 teams at number 2. North Carolina, Miami, North Carolina State, Pitt, and Virginia Tech, all 2.
Miami and Pittsburgh are the best of those, of that quartet quintet. And so, I mean, that's how I see it.
Linebacker, Clemson 1, NC State 2, Pitt 3, Miami 4, tied with Virginia Tech.
That's way high. That's way high. That's way high. And it has to be based off of recruiting rankings or something. That has to be based on talent. That's way high that's way high. I'm surprised that Miami is a single-digit number, to be perfectly honest, and linebacker. Like, that's the kind of negative emotion or thought. I mean, you're talking like 8 or 9 being generous to me. So that's very, very nice.
Secondary, Clemson 1, Miami 2, North Carolina State tied for 3rd with BC.
The only reason that Miami is not 1 overall is because cornerback is a little lacking in terms of if you had like another player and another guy who had like a couple of mango seasons. I think Miami has the best safety room in America, and you got better at the cornerback room. So the top 2 works for me.
This is an odd ranking. Special teams. Duke is like 12, 13, or 14 everywhere. They're number 1 in special teams. I don't know what that alludes to, but anyway, I'll have to read up. North Carolina State 2. Somebody's 3 that I can't find. Syracuse, and then Miami at 4.
I think Miami at 4. Yeah, because the return games have not been great, and that counts as well. And you have a freshman kicker taking over for the best kicker in America, who just happened to be his brother and lived down the hall when they were kids. So 4 for me fits. Could be better if the return games are better than they've been in the past.
And then finally, he's got, tried to find the coding. I don't know what this means. It's got to be the coaching staff. It's CH.
Yeah.
He has Clemson 1, North Carolina 2. Miami is tied with 3 other teams at 10th.
I don't agree with that. So that's basically last. Because there's 12 teams, so
14.
Oh, there are 14. So it's next to last, basically.
Syracuse and BC are the only 2 teams behind.
I disagree with that.
BC is the 13th best. I thought he was a good coach.
I disagree with that. Especially you got Lashley on offense, you got Field on offense, you got Likens on offense. All the guys on offense, first of all, Manny's back on the sticks at defensive coordinator. T-Rob. Just Simpson. I very much disagree with that.
I'm going to do a deep dive on this stuff. All right. Chuck C., thank you so much for the contribution. We got to let Cam go because it's the NBA draft and his beloved Pistons. Where's this Cunningham kid from?
He went to IMG after he transferred somewhere, and he went to Oklahoma State for his 1 year because they hired some coach that he knew, maybe his brother or something. But he's a 6'8" lead guard. He's a transformational player. I made lots of noise to the point that my neighbors came over when we won the NBA draft lottery for the first time in history, the history of the draft. And the commissioner is walking out now. So I am going to mute myself, and I'm going to enjoy this moment of Cade Cunningham getting drafted. Check out stateoftheu.com at the State of the U on all of our social media. My Underwood Sports is my personal. Okay, goodbye.
I'm going to read off the super chat since we honor that. Chuck C., agree with Cam. Morgan would be a great addition, and Cam's fired up, and it's interesting to watch without the sound. However, Vilma is the guy needed for this team. Either would be a great addition. Do not forget Ray 52. We did not. Cam outlined that. His speed in college was sickening. Thanks. And I want to remind everyone here that Cam gives more than just the hour here. It spills over. Plus, with communications and so forth, it's typically like 90 minutes or so. And he's fired up and he gives us so much insight and information that also consider Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Search Mark Rogers TV. Contribute there. Let me know that what show you're contributing to. So if you want to put Cam, then I will make sure that we are distributing that correctly. So,
Motorcade, Cade Cunningham, let's go.
But how bad were the Pistons this past season?
20-52, tied for the worst record in the league, with the highest odds with a couple other teams, but we've never actually elevated. We've never gotten a draft pick higher than our standing in the lottery. Our own pick. We did get the Darko pick, but that was a Memphis Grizzlies pick that would conveyed for an Otis Thorpe trade way many moves.
Otis Thorpe.
That. Yeah.
There's the name.
Exactly. So that was the last year of the conveyance. And as long it was number one protected, that was the LeBron James year. So I would say we should have won it, but like then Memphis would have gotten LeBron James, but then we got Darko into the rest. So there's all that. But I agree with the Chuck C. And thank you for the contribution. I'm still going with Dan Morgan. I do hear you, though, about Vilma and Ray Morgan. I'm sorry, Ray Lewis, excuse me. But the website is stateoftheu.com. The Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook are at The State of the U. My personal Twitter account, where I'm going crazy about Cade Cunningham, #MotorCade, let's go, is at Underwood Sports. And I cannot tell you what we have coming up. We have our normal stuff, but there is something else that is in the works for you Miami Hurricanes fans with us at State of the U. And we will let you know soon, and it is something that you will enjoy. So keep your eyes peeled. We will tell you all about it when we can, but I'm very excited about it, and you should be excited about it, even if you don't know what it is. That's a tease. That's a lead-in, and you will see it from us, and you're going to like it. So just be sure that you stay locked, and we'll have it for you soon.
Sweet. Thanks, Cam. Always appreciated, man.
Hey, no problem.
Have a good one.
All right, talk to you.
I want to stay on here for just a minute because we have a special announcement coming up ourselves here at the Voice of College Football, and I'll have to figure out when will be a great time to do that, but it's regarding the season, Miami coverage, other teams coverage as well, but Miami coverage, so be looking out for that. And I appreciate everybody here. I think we've hit on everything. The next time we're going to be live, the next time we're scheduled live is next for Miami football. The Wholesome One typically records, and we do our live show with the Wholesome One Thursdays at 5. That is switching the last couple of weeks. The Wholesome One needed to do it on Tuesday, and I think this is going to work out well for the season where we've got Cam on Thursday night at 7. The Wholesome One, we're going to move that show to Tuesday at 1. Gives other people that have different schedules an option. And with the football season, gives us more Miami content early in the week to prep for the game. So going forward, the Wholesome One live Tuesday at 1, Cam live Thursday at 7. Also, again, I believe August 1st sounds like a good time. We will be making a major announcement concerning our coverage of Miami football and some other teams this fall. All right, everyone, we appreciate it. I will be live next at the Voice of College Football on the Oklahoma channel Friday. That's tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central. Oklahoma Live, new member of the SEC, Friday afternoon, 2:30, 1:30 Central. And then I'm sure we're going to hit some live streams over the weekend. And I may actually jump on here at some point to address all you Miami fans sometime over the weekend. There are so many comments that come in to the channel that I like to address. And I apologize to everybody that makes very meaningful comments. I browse them, I see them, but understand I got 23 channels and I want to produce great content for all of you. And it is more than I can get to in any such way. So I may just do a live stream and just address viewer comments. Right here at the Voice of College Football, again, as you see in the bottom ticker, Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App, you can contribute there. And if you wanted to go to a particular show, just make note of that right here at the Voice of College Football. I appreciate all of you. We will see you next time.